UFC President, Mr. Dana White. Welcome back to BT Sport. How are you, sir?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Very well indeed. A little bit bummed out. I'm still waiting for those travel restrictions to go because I'm getting sick of you putting on amazing events and me not being able to attend them, my man. You know what I mean? I need to be there.
I just went down to Mexico for the weekend and I had the time of my life, so I feel for you.
Just on that, given the year that we've had and the challenges that you've faced and obviously come through every single one of them, just want to quickly reflect on 261. What is it like walking out from the back into a full arena of people to feel that noise, to feel that energy once again?
Yeah, it's what I was excited for. It's what I was waiting for, and it was everything I expected it to be. Not only, did the fans, the city, the event all lived up to the hype and the excitement that I had going into it. And I feel the same way going into Houston. So, some of my guys are already on the ground in Houston right now. And I'm going in Wednesday, which is, very early for me. I haven't gone in on a Wednesday or something like that in years. So it's awesome. I can't even, explain it to you. I wish you could be there.
Oh, don't wind me up now.
I wish you could be there.
Just regarding significant moments in your tenure at the UFC, I mean, you've had plenty, especially over the last year. First to get back, first to obviously, doing Fight Island, all these brilliant things, and led the way for sports just around the world. To be the first to bring fans back at full capacity, what did that mean to you?
That was a big deal. It's the whole thing. Being able to go through the pandemic, not laying off any of my people or cutting anybody's salaries, honoring fighters' contracts, honoring television contracts, being the first inside a closed arena sellout, the way that we're doing it. It's all been incredible, man. It's almost like, I don't want to say you get on, when we were putting on these events, go into 18, 19, you almost get into cruise control. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I liked the challenge of last year and all the things that came with it. And I think that I say it all the time, but my team, I think it brought us all closer, and we all look around and, think about this. When some people still aren't working. Some people still aren't in the office. My whole team was back to work 6 weeks into the pandemic. Mm-hmm. It was like a 6-week break for us, and that was it, which was kind of cool too. People got to spend some time with their families and all that stuff. And then we were right back at it. So I just think it's really physically, mentally, psychologically, and financially been incredible for my team.
And we roll on. We've got another cracker this weekend with UFC 262. But just quickly on the aftermath of 261, Kamaru Usman's performance against Jorge was just out of this world. Out of this world. The roars from the crowd responding to that knockout was sensational. You yourself have said in the aftermath of that it will be Colby next. First of all, what's your thought process behind that? And when are you thinking of doing it?
I have dinner with Usman tonight. Usman and I are going to dinner tonight. So, I don't know what he's got on his mind or whatever, but he wanted to get together and talk. This dude is on his way to being, possibly the GOAT of the sport or that division. And for some insane reason, people talk this guy. He is fun to watch fight. Ever since the RDA fight, the guy has completely changed. And, he goes in there incredibly well-rounded, taking on the absolute best in the world, and is always trying to finish the fight. I'm blown away by the level of fighter he has become and how well-rounded and just absolutely badass this dude is. And when you meet Usman, he's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. He's a good human being. So yeah, very happy for him.
Regarding his division, if you're having dinner with him, he calls Colby.
And you asked about Colby. Usman versus Colby Covington is one of the greatest fights I've ever seen in my life. It is an incredible fight. If people are watching this now and you haven't seen Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. Check it out. It's one of the greatest fights you'll ever see.
With that then, what for you then is the significance with Leon Edwards against Nate? Obviously, we're disappointed that we're not getting it this weekend. We've got to wait an extra month. But then what happens to the winner of that fight for you?
I don't know. I mean, we got to see how all this stuff plays out. You know, I never, obviously, Leon Edwards, unluckiest guy on planet Earth, but at the same time, couldn't be in a better position. The kid's ranked number 3 in the world. He's going to take on Nate Diaz, which is a high-profile fight for him. You know, Edwards couldn't be in a better position. And then you got Colby and Kamaru. I mean, it just obviously, if he wins that fight, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of good narratives anyway in this particular division. I know after the Kamaru Jorge fight, Nick Diaz was in attendance. You said you were speaking to him. What have you got lined up for him? Because we've had a little bit of a chat on BT Sport here about possibilities for Nick, and Jorge Masvidal's name comes up quite a lot, and the BMF title. What are you thinking, Dennis?
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't really talked to those guys since the event, but I honestly don't know. I don't know what'll happen. Obviously, it'd be fun to see him back in there. I just don't know how much I really believe that the kid wants to fight. You know?
Okay.
I don't know.
Important. And that's important. It is important if he's like say, if he's not
great conversations with him. You know, I like Nick, and I just don't. I question his desire to really fight.
Regarding that, kind of staying on the same thing and just looking at the weekend just gone with Cowboy, for example, how hard do you personally find it when you've worked with these elite athletes for such a long period of time? They've done so well for the UFC. He's been a legend of the sport. I'm talking Cowboy in particular now.
Yep.
And then he finds himself in this particular position where he's on this horrific losing streak. How hard is it for you at this point where you're thinking, right, what's next for someone like that? What do we do with someone like that? Because I'm sure that you want him to go out, if he wants to go out, on a high and in a way that is fitting to his career.
It's the worst, but it's inevitable. And not just in this sport, in all sports. I mean, we all get old. Father Time is undefeated. And, you know, especially, I say it all the time, fighting is a young man's game, man. It's for young, healthy, talented people. You know, that's why I don't understand this whole craze lately with people wanting to see 60-year-olds fight. I don't get it. But fighting is a young man's sport, period.
Yeah. And on the same thing, obviously, Cowboy was supposed to fight Diego at the weekend. And just that whole situation, again, you must find that quite heartbreaking because that's a guy who's the first tough champion. He's had a wonderful, wonderful career. And for it to finish this way is just, again, from a fan's point of view, just heartbreaking.
Yeah. Listen, man, I mean, at the end of the day, these are all grown men and women. And, you know, all of us in life have all these paths that we can walk down, and we all make decisions in our life. And he's made his decisions, and, you know, good luck to him.
Absolutely. On to more positive things this weekend, 262. We got a title fight on our hands here, man. We got Charles Oliveira taking on Michael Chandler. I want to talk about Michael first because I think every single person that's come into contact with this guy since he's been in the UFC, and obviously before when he was in other franchises, has been incredibly impressed with him. What he did on Fight Island, and I've gone on record saying this, that I personally think it's the best UFC debut of all time. Not just because of what he did in the octagon, but the interview, the way he carried himself, everything about that performance. He couldn't have scripted it better if he tried. It was unreal.
We're literally, I was on the runway about to take off to go God knows where, I don't even remember. And my lawyer called me and said, we're this close to getting the deal done with Michael Chandler. He wants to talk to you. And I said, go ahead, put him through. I talked to this kid. It's the first time I ever met him, first time I ever talked to him. We talked for 5 minutes. I hung up the phone and I called my lawyer back and said, I don't care what he wants. Give him whatever he wants. The kid was the greatest kid in the world. Such a nice, just a really good person. And the 5-minute conversation that I had with Michael Chandler, I liked him and I wanted him in the UFC no matter what. I didn't care what he was asking for or what the deal was. I told Hunter, get the deal done. I want this kid. And yes, he came in, the positive attitude he had the whole time, willing to fight anybody, willing to be the backup, willing to do this, willing to do that. And look where he put himself, like that. You know what I mean? He's just smart guy, tough guy, right attitude, talented, all the right things at the right time in the right place. And look at where he is now. So couldn't happen to a better person. I'm happy for him, and can't wait to see him perform in Houston.
He should be a cracker. And Charles is obviously on a great streak at the moment. Very much improved fighter. It's going to be a hell of a fight. Were you a little surprised, though, that Dustin decided to take the Conor fight rather than a shot at UFC Gold?
No. When these type of fights happen, right? He just comes off this win. He's got the Trilogy fight with Conor. If you look at a guy like Dustin Poirier, who's worked hard his whole life, grinded out throughout his career, gets himself into a position where he beats, he beats Conor. And the reality is, I mean, if you look, he's the #1 ranked guy in the world, vacant title. These guys will fight for the title. He will get his big fight with McGregor. And if he wins, he'll get a title shot anyway. I think he played that thing perfectly. Listen, I'm all about guys wanting that title and wanting to prove that they're the absolute best in the world. But when I've seen some tragic mistakes. I've seen fighters and their management make bad decisions, and literally, I mean, there's one that is literally the worst I've ever seen. It's tragic, and I beg them not to do it. Someday I'll tell this story publicly, but yeah, not today, unfortunately. But I've seen some big mistakes made in the past, and I think that Dustin Poirier did the absolute right thing.
So we're looking forward to it. That's obviously a little bit further down the road. This weekend, there's loads of fights I could sit here and talk to you about, but I can see that you're in the war room, and I want to give you a scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first fight on the main card, you've made Burgos against Barboza, right? Now, when you guys are in the room together, so there's you, there's Mick, and obviously Shelby, and various others, I've no doubt. You're discussing fights, you're throwing names around, Dana, right? And who comes up with the suggestion of going, what do you reckon to Burgos against Barboza? All I can imagine in my head, that you guys then all start high-fiving each other. There's a lot of energy flying around the room. That just screams violence. It's just pure violence, that fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to be honest with you. You know, we come in here in this room, we sit here for hours and just bounce different fights off each other. And it's pretty fun, to be honest with you. It's an incredible job to have, that we get to sit in here and actually make the greatest fights you could possibly make. And yeah, everybody has the other guy is Hunter. You got Sean, Shelby, Mick, me, and Hunter Campbell, and we all sit in this room. And sometimes we argue, sometimes we fight, sometimes we high five, and we end up coming out with all these different cards. It's awesome.
Well, I think that one that kicks off the main card this weekend is most certainly a high five, and a lot of fans are looking forward to it and tipping it maybe for some bonuses going those gentlemen's way, because it should be an absolute cracking fight. You have just kind of confirmed that the 262 winner main event will fight the winner of the 264 main event winner for the lightweight title. That seems an obvious thing for a lot of fans.
Well, again, it's what makes sense. That's not what I'm saying, but obviously that's what makes sense. You just, so many things can happen during the fight. You don't know. It would almost be like Dustin Poirier coming off his last fight. Oh, he's going to fight for the title next, right? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Oh, the Conor McGregor fight, he takes them. Who knows? I don't know, but it would make sense.
Okay. With that then in mind, then what have you got planned for Justin Gaethje in this division?
Yeah, that's another guy that's sitting in a really good place right now. I mean, he's the #2 ranked guy in the world, just took a run at the title. He can sit back and see how some of these fights play out, and we'll end up getting him something soon.
At 263, we've got Izzy against Vittoria rematch that we're excited about. Robert Whittaker's just had a wonderful performance as well. Would you say that the winner of the main event at 263 is probably going to be fighting Whittaker next?
Let me tell you this too. Depending on how the McGregor fight plays out with Poirier, somebody gets something happens, Gaethje's another guy that's in position that could slide in and get that title shot. So for me to say, oh, this guy's next, it's just not that easy.
Fair enough.
Now you're asking me if Whittaker wins. Well, I don't know. You're asking me that because it makes sense, but we'll see how everything plays out.
All right, then let's talk heavyweights, because we all saw the pictures last week of Francis going home and being greeted by the fans. It was just a crazy, crazy scene. That must get your juices flowing for UFC Africa. I know it's in the pipeline. I know you've talked about it. I know it's something that you want to do. How close are we to doing something on the African continent?
It's going to depend on what happens with all this COVID craziness. How fast is the world going to open up again and start being normal? Where people can start just traveling to other countries and putting on events in other countries. If I had to guess, I would say 22 or 23.
Okay. But he's been, like I said, sensational pictures last week when he went home to obviously visit his hometown. It was great to watch. For him,
it's always so fun when you have these guys, whether it's Shevchenko going home to her home country and meeting with the president and all those things. When Habib would win, Francis, so cool. It's one of the greatest moments in sports when you see these kids go home and be greeted the way that they are.
Yeah, absolutely. You've mentioned Derrick Lewis for him next. Do you have a time frame on that?
I do not. If I had to guess, what would make sense would be sometime in August, this summer.
Okay. And obviously one of the big heavyweight questions is always going to be Jon. What's the latest with Mr. Jones? Where's your conversations at with him?
I got nothing on Jon Jones yet.
Okay. I've got a bit of matchmaking for you. If Jan beats Glover, and I'm not saying he will because it's a hell of a fight, but if Jan does come through against Glover, given what Jiri Prochazka did last week, if we do that one, can we do that in Poland in front of 60,000 people, man? It'll be crazy.
You think I don't want to do that? The question is Poland going to be ready? Are they going to be open? Hell yes, I would love to do that. And obviously I can't wait to start traveling internationally and doing international fights again in these different countries. Imagine our first fight back in England. It's going to be incredible.
Have you got any plans for that in the upcoming months?
I hope so. Like I said, a year ago, I could have answered all your questions. These days, who the hell knows?
What's the latest with Hamzat? He's a guy that we've all fallen in love with here in Europe. I know that he's been on social media a lot recently, speaking about Neil Magny, for example, at the weekend. What's his health situation and when's his plan to get back in the octagon?
Hopefully August too. We're hoping to have him back this summer and see if we can get him fighting in August.
Sounds good. I don't know if you saw Mr. Mayweather. This is boxing related now. Mr. Mayweather chasing a 24-year-old kid around Miami recently over his baseball cap. What did you make of it?
Well, I make of that what I've said about it all the time. There's a market for that. There are going to be people that want to see that, and me and Floyd are cool. I was over Floyd's house a few weeks ago, and I hope to make a lot of money.
Yeah, indeed. Like you've said, we have got major travel restrictions at the moment, but they are easing. Hopefully we can start to get back in arenas as you're experiencing, obviously, over in the States. What's the one big thing that you want to achieve this year?
Well, obviously, we continue we got 3 sellouts in a row here. Hopefully, as markets continue to open, I want to continue to be the first one inside their closed arenas and, doing sellout crowds. I don't know. I just hopefully go international. I think that other than Fight Island,
yeah,
the big win for us this year, if we could do a big international fight somewhere.
Sounds good to me. England's good. We're good. Yeah. We're good in England. If you want to do England,
I'd love to come to England.
We will welcome you, no problem.
Yeah, wait.
Dana, thank you so much for your time. I know that you've got other things to do this afternoon, but thank you very much for giving up a bit of your time. Enjoy this week, man. It's going to be an absolute cracker 262. Should be a good one. Take care.
I appreciate it.